Story 1: The Phantom Hitchhiker. It was a dark and stormy night when Jim was driving home from his girlfriend's house. He had to take a detour because of a road closure, and he found himself on a lonely stretch of highway. He saw a gas station up ahead and decided to stop for a drink and a snack. As he was getting out of his car, he noticed a young woman standing by the side of the road, holding a suitcase. She was soaked from the rain and looked scared and cold. Jim felt sorry for her and offered her a ride. She gratefully accepted and got in the car. She told him her name was Mary and that she was on her way to visit her aunt in the next town. She said she had missed her bus and had been waiting for hours for someone to pick her up. Jim felt sorry for her and tried to make conversation, but she seemed quiet and distant. They drove for a while, and Jim noticed that she was shivering. He turned up the heater and offered her his jacket. She thanked him and wrapped it around herself. Jim asked her where she wanted him to drop her off, but she didn't answer. He looked at her and saw that she had fallen asleep. He decided to let her rest and drove on. He reached the town where she said her aunt lived and looked for the address she had given him. He found it easily enough, but he was shocked by what he saw. It was a cemetery. He parked the car and gently shook Mary awake. She opened her eyes and looked around. She smiled and pointed to a tombstone. "That's my aunt's grave," she said. "She died 10 years ago." Jim felt a chill run down his spine. He looked at Mary again and saw that she was pale and transparent. He realized that she was a ghost. He screamed and jumped out of the car, leaving the engine running. He ran to the gas station across the street and called the police. They arrived soon after and searched the car, but they found no trace of Mary or her suitcase. The only thing they found was Jim's jacket, neatly folded on the back seat. Story 2: The Gas Station Attendant. Lisa was driving across the country with her boyfriend, Mark. They had been on the road for hours and were running low on gas. They saw a sign for a gas station and decided to stop there. They pulled into the station and saw that it was old and run down. There was no one in sight, except for an old man sitting in a rocking chair by the door. He had a long beard and wore a dirty hat and overalls. Lisa got out of the car and approached him. "Hello," she said politely. "Can we get some gas?" The old man nodded slowly and pointed to a pump. "Help yourself," he said in a raspy voice. Lisa thanked him and went back to the car. She filled up the tank while Mark went inside to pay. She finished pumping and waited for Mark to come back. She waited for 5 minutes, then 10, then 15. She started to get worried. She wondered what was taking him so long. She decided to go inside and look for him. She walked to the door and opened it. She screamed. The inside of the station was empty and dark. There was no sign of Mark or anyone else. There was no cash register, no shelves, no products, nothing. Just dust and cobwebs. She ran back to the car and tried to start it, but it wouldn't budge. She looked at the gas gauge and saw that it was empty. She got out of the car and looked around frantically. She saw the old man standing by the pump, smiling wickedly. He held a hose in his hand. He had siphoned all the gas out of their car. And he wasn't alone. There were dozens of other people behind him, all dressed in old-fashioned clothes. They were all ghosts. Story 3: The Haunted Restroom. Tom was driving home from work late one night when he felt an urgent need to use the bathroom. He saw a gas station up ahead and decided to stop there. He parked his car by the pump and went inside. The station was deserted, except for a bored-looking clerk behind the counter. Tom asked him where the restroom was, and he pointed to a door at the back of the store. Tom thanked him and headed towards the door. He opened it and entered. He wished he hadn't. The restroom was filthy and disgusting. There was graffiti on the walls, trash on the floor, and a foul smell in the air. Tom gagged and held his nose. He looked for a stall that was relatively clean and found one. He locked the door and did his business. He felt a sudden cold breeze on his neck. He shivered and looked up. He saw a pair of red eyes staring at him from the ceiling. He screamed and jumped up, pulling up his pants. He saw a dark figure hanging upside down from the vent. It had long hair, sharp teeth, and claws. It was a ghost.